The critical outlook of William Samoei Arap Ruto's New Year speech is actually opening up a very good discussion in this country. And I still not, maybe I'm not the person who's understanding it. How do William Ruto intend to get away with all these narratives in the eye of failing policies, and in fact has resorted to excuses, vindictive mindset, and a narrow thinking that you can actually run government on propaganda? I want you to listen to this video. After William Ruto spent better part of his 2023 explaining and telling us, or reminding us, that he is the man who was given the sword to crush cartels, and then blaming Uhuru Kenyatta, that is the man that is against him, he's also coming out to say that Uhuru and Raila are out to sabotage his government. The sabotage claims are a bit tired and worn out.
Yet, as we celebrate all the achievements made so far, a number of our policies, programs, and other strategic interventions aimed at delivering necessary and urgent interventions of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda have been delayed, obstructed, and hampered by various challenges, including persistent litigation. There is nothing wrong with challenging policy and holding government to account. And in fact, the national interest is best safeguarded in an environment defined by the competition of progressive ideas, where a good proposal gives way to a better one. We all have a duty to make sure that the best ideas always prevail in enhancing the well-being of the people and making this nation prosperous and powerful. That is what our democracy exists to achieve. Having said this, you will agree with me that there is something fundamentally wrong with opposition without any viable alternative, whose only purpose is division, conflict, and anarchy. There is something wrong with litigation sponsored by hostage-taking vested interests with the sole aim to delay, derail, and sabotage the delivery of public programs and defeat public interest. Time and time again, Kenyans have clearly and manifestly demonstrated their devotion to pursuing opportunities for progress by voting for progressive policies, as they did in the last election. Kenyans are ready to propel their nation forward to greatness. What has held them back is a leadership invested in the status quo, which excludes the majority to benefit only a few. A politics comfortable with keeping millions in want and indignity to preserve the illegitimate privileges of a few, and a resultant institutional system in which the disenfranchisement of ordinary people is the yardstick of public policy. This should and must change. A new paradigm, my dear Kenyans, must be negotiated. There is an inevitable clash of ideologies at the moment that go beyond a mere conflict over choices. It extends to a disagreement between us as to who between the few who wield power in the executive, legislature, and in the judiciary, and everyone else without distinction, who are the legitimate targets and beneficiaries of public policy. We are at the moment of reflection that calls us to revisit the first principles of our civil and political understanding, reevaluate the terms of our social contract, and placed Kenyans, the ones we sometimes call ordinary, at the center of all national discourse.
And how many people is William Ruto going to blame? Listen to this. So this was New Year. And I want to read for you some excerpts here. I think I saw Macharia Gaitho with some good pieces on William Samoei Arap Ruto. He's saying this: fix the mess. Yes, you inherited a floundering system from a regime which you served as a second in command for 10 years. But the grace period for excuses has run out. You were elected to fix the mess you helped to create, so you can no longer take refuge in pointing the finger of blame at your predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta or opposition leader Raila Odinga. The perennial excuses are tired and worn out. They indicate lack of working plan to get Kenya out of the morass. Worse, they signal a petty and vindictive mindset that could be a precursor to a dictatorial regime. If indeed there are enemies, it continues to say, if indeed there are enemies that threaten delivery of your agenda, they are not in Mr. Kenyatta or Mr. Odinga, but deep in your ruling mafia. The saying, you were elected on the promise to run mercantile cartels out of leadership, but have instead created the most insiders lot within your government. Saying, it's noteworthy that the new deep state that now runs the government is greedier and more vicious than anything that existed in previous regime. Often it seems almost every government. And, you know, there is a claim, there is a very grievous claim that Ruto has made, that there are insiders within government that are colluding with outsiders under the leadership of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga to sabotage government. And this is what I want us to look at. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 2nd. We started on 27th, I think. We are finishing up our grandmother's house today. We are building. Leo side tukifanya tuna build. Kesho we'll doing the soiling. The last phase of it, which is very important, I've been around this place, ni kuweka plaster. That phase is very important. What I need for that is some 13 sacks of cement and a canter of sand, and just to pay up the fundi. That will be the last bit, so that at least kata ukiacha ni muache kwa nyumba, the floor, you know, the rest can always sort itself, but the floor is very important. So that is why I'm reaching out. As we finish up, that is the last phase. Thank you. I know someone had offered me 2 sacks of cement. I'm just reminding you, I can't trace the message because the message have been so many. And I think Dr. Evelyn is chaplain or someone had also promised me she will bring a tank. She will give a water tank. So akileta to direct, probably even I think she will be coming in the country in the next 2 or 3 weeks if I'm not wrong. And for me, the last part of what I do is that plaster. To plaster the floor. Then I think it will be a done deal. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this. We must put our acts together. We must get it right. If we don't get it right this time round, the public must be very vigilant. Because Kenya Kwanza is running a propaganda rider, just changing from one propaganda to the next, one excuse to the other. In fact, they're blaming Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga to be colluding with some state officers so that they can sabotage the affordable housing. There are 2 cases that have been taken to court. One is the affordable housing, the other one is on the health, and the third one, opposition leader Raila Odinga also launched a case opposing the privatization on some very legitimate grounds. And if you want to know, this is just another stream of excuses. Ruto has also said that judiciary should not use its independence to sabotage government. And that's what I'm saying. We cannot run a propaganda rider that everything being said is about this not being done, mimi hawanitaki, mimi hawataki hii. The public must be vigilant so that they don't fall for those cheap, petty political propaganda. Because that information is not targeting Raila. I want to say this. Uhuru is sabotaging me. That information, that propaganda is not targeting Raila Odinga nor Uhuru Kenyatta. That propaganda is targeting the public. They're targeting you. Because they know that emotionally, people are still entangled in the political box of, Uhuru did not want Ruto to become the president, so Uhuru is still against, and you need to ask yourself some very important questions. As they tell you about Uhuru is sabotaging me, there is a question you need to ask yourself. What has stopped going on if Uhuru is actually sabotaging? What has stopped? If Uhuru took a case, yes, let's assume Uhuru has the monopoly of taking a case to court. Did the court stop the levy? It's still being collected. So what's the whole point of saying someone is sabotaging me while you are already collecting? Has it stopped? The government has all the systems, and even scooping those levies and those taxes they're implementing, they're the ones that are doing it. You need to ask yourself that question. The second question you need to interrogate, as Mr. Politician is telling you about Uhuru is sabotaging me, you just need to ask yourself this. What is the political benefit that Uhuru gets as a person? Is Uhuru going to vie? No. Is he going to seek up an elective office? No. And why is it that whenever things are wrong, whenever something happens wrong and the public, is Uhuru Kenyans? Is Uhuru the only man seeing a problem in the affordable housing and the others? Don't we have other Kenyans making an assessment and saying, this is wrong, this is right? Must Uhuru think on our behalf? Those are things, those are arguments we must have as a country, because otherwise we are going to be soaked into some emotive political narrative that is actually baseless. And I don't believe that what Ruto is saying is very objective. And is just out to win out the hustlers. He's already known very well that things are not wrong. And in fact, you need to ask yourself, so Uhuru is a former president. William Ruto is the president with all the state intelligence. Why can't they intercept even any payment that Uhuru makes or made to a lawyer or a judge? They know bank accounts of all the judges. The bodyguards that are protecting the judges and all the lawyers are employed by government. The residences are protected by police officers being paid by government. And the intelligence can spy on anyone in this country. So why can't the intelligence give us an evidence? Why can't they give us an evidence of Uhuru Raila making a payment to Judge X or Lawyer Y to present a case? In fact, most of what has been going on is in the civil service. So you will understand where I'm coming from, that something is not simply adding up and someone is out to just win, to rescue his political fortune. 4 things that I make up of this. Number 1, Ruto is clearly out of touch with the public outcry. This is what comes out. He's not in touch, he's just skewed and narrowly thinking about Uhuru is messing up with me, Uhuru is making up with the thing, Uhuru is doing that. But in real sense, what he sees as Uhuru sabotage is just exhibiting the public outcry. So instead of facing the public outcry, instead of just saying, the public is uncomfortable with this, the public does not want to say this, you should just come out and say, this is wrong, this is right. That's one thing. the public cannot see Uhuru Raila threat. And I'm wondering, this is tired and worn out. No one is going to see the threat. No one is seeing the threat of Uhuru and Raila in this government. The sabotage threat is not something that you can point out and say, you know, there is no phone call anywhere, Uhuru calling anyone and say, you know what, anataka hiyo housing levy isiendelee. No one have that. No one seems to have that. So the public cannot make that judgment out. Government is forcing his way. It's forcing his way. They've said, we will do it whether you like it or not. So why are you saying about sabotage? And they've already said, you will do it whether you want it, whether Kenyans want it or not. And lastly, I think insiders have completely paralyzed William Ruto administration and have made it immobile. But instead of just facing the insiders, he has decided to run out and complain to people who are actually out of the system, because he doesn't want to be seen as running an incompetent team. In real sense, the enemy within is Ruto's deep state. Ruto's deep state is very greedy. You know, let me tell you something. Do you know that there is a committee that was formed to audit pending bills? And that committee that was formed to audit pending bills was to just ensure which bill is legit, which one is faked, which one is hiked figure, which one is not hiked, which one should be paid first, which one should be paid last. Now that has created a layer of just getting people that are close to power bills being paid on things maybe they had supplied in government. And someone was telling me that there is a tender that was awarded. There is a pending bill that was there in 2017, in 2021. It has been paid. The tune around, is it 5 million? Something said about 50 million. But a pending bill in the same ministry of something that even happened, and it was a product and something that a project that was even done, is still pending 2017. The same. The system is so greedy. Look at the way they are sponsoring football matches all over. There was a one where we saw money being taken, basket in the tune of 3 million taken to a field. You know, so that's what we are saying. We need to be very tactical. We need to be very true to what we are saying if we really mean business. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my take. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting this project. We are doing the plastering as the last bit as we finish tomorrow. And may God bless you. Hi guys, so we want to give you a progress of so far. So hii ndio ile mchanga. Yeah, I told you guys that the mchanga that will be used for the walling is this one here. So we've brought 3, which are the ones that we will use kesho to do. So this is the mchanga. Then this is the progress of the house so far. This is what our day 1 has been. I wanted to get an established shot of it. So what's remaining here ni kuweka hii mchanga in between the walls, the wall and then the roofing. The mabati, we are also probably running late. We might do mabati tomorrow, and then when we are done with that is when we will do the floor. So you can look at how the floor is. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, and I want us to make it better. Yeah, so this is so far what we've done day 1, and yeah, we'll get to this tomorrow. I think we'll just finish up, then we shall also show you so far when we're done. So these are the dirisha, the other one. Yes, so they're just starting the mabati, so they're bringing it. So tomorrow we'll have full of it. Yeah.